So, victims of abuse are often trapped by their own beliefs about who the abuser is and how the abuser feels about them, and then what they owe to the abuser. Because abuse happens in the context of interpersonal relationships. When the same behavior happens outside of a relationship, we call it bullying or harassment or assault, right? Like, it's only when you're in a relationship with somebody that these behaviors get reclassified as abuse. And so the victim has ideas about how the abuser loves them, how the abuser, like what they owe to the abuser. So if it's your friend, if it's your parent, if it's your partner, your significant other, and you think, oh, but I love these people and they're my parent or they're my friend or they're my partner. And so therefore I'm obligated to do XYZ. And so you have to start pulling the thread piece by piece that unravels the tapestry of the beliefs. And so I have two ways that I like to help victims of abuse sort of start the process of, unbrainwashing themselves, basically. They're pretty effective. So the thing is, if you're talking to a victim of abuse, and let's say it's a romantic relationship, and you're trying to tell them, oh no, this person doesn't love you, that's like sometimes effective. But what is usually effective is when you ask them, oh, does this person even like you? Because the abuser doesn't. The abuser is exhibiting contempt for the other person. The abuser is, saying nasty comments and put downs. Those didn't come from nowhere. The abuser thinks those things and then is saying them to the victim. And so that once you kind of plant that seed, hey, this person might not like me, that can start to unravel the whole idea of like, oh, okay, we're in this like grand passionate love story, or this is my parent, and all parents love their kids. Healthy parents do, but not an abusive parent, or not an unhealthy parent. They may not even know what love is or how to love. We can only love to the ability of our internal self. So people they put the word love on something because it has a grander meaning in society. But that doesn't mean that that's what they are doing or feeling. They certainly are emotionally attached. That intense feeling, though, is usually attachment and not love. So it's easier to start with, do they like you? Because they don't. And then the second thing that I like to do is to help a victim reconceptualize the other person, and in a way that's makes them unattractive or kind of pulls away from the mystique of, oh, this is my parent or this is my friend or whatever it is. And that is, I will almost always refer to an abuser as acting like a toddler, because they are. I will usually say something like a toddler having a little temper tantrum, um, because they are. But the other thing too is that starts to plant that seed, that very visual idea of like, I am dealing with a toddler. And do we find toddlers attractive? No. Do we take toddlers seriously when they are saying hurtful things to us? No, we do not. Do we give toddlers the same level of deference, respect that we give parents? No. So if they are your parents, but they're acting like toddlers, and you're like, wait, I feel like the parent in this dynamic, that's probably because you are. And so therefore you have to like reconceptualize your approach to these people. Anyway, it can be very tricky to speak with victims of abuse, to help them start to unravel these really deep seated ideas about who this person is, what is happening in the relationship, how this person feels about the victim. And so those are the two places that I like to start. I find them to be the most effective. Long term, I have people come back years later and tell me, wow, I hadn't thought about it that way until you said this. And so I know it works, at least some of the time. Anyway, I hope this makes sense, and I'll talk to you next time.